Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello everyone, my name is Nimer Adeeb. I'm a foreign medical graduate, recently matched into neurosurgery in the United States. And in this video, I'll talk about my experience, uh, throughout the whole match process, coming from a foreign country. I've divided this presentation into sections to make it easier to understand. That would include the beginning, while thinking about coming to the United States, elective rotations in the United States, research experience, and then USMLE, and then my journey in the United States. Afterward, I'll talk about the residency application, interviews, and try to conclude all of that. Okay, so the beginning. Thought about coming to the United States for residency started when I was in second year of medical school. Uh, we have this 6 year medical school system plus 1 year of internship. So as second year, well, technically I didn't know much about surgery, but I know I love to do things by my hand. I used to go to the emergency department as a first year and second year, and also I always loved the nervous system, which who didn't? But I had a fascination for that. And also when I was in second year, volunteering in the government hospitals, you will see a lot of patients who had neurosurgical issues, sometimes as simple as hydrocephalus, and end up not getting treatment or like getting delayed to get treatment until they get transferred somewhere or wait to go somewhere else to get the treatment necessary. So since that point, I really wanted to become a neurosurgeon, and as many of you could relate to that, having this idea in many of the countries, they think it's like an impossible thing to come to the United States for residency, especially any surgical residency, which is technically not true. Of course, I mean no one knows where this myth came from. It's hard, but it's definitely not impossible. And of course, I'm not the first one who did it. Many people before me did it. Many people after me will do it. And at the same time, with me, there's several foreign grads who also match into neurosurgery and other surgical specialties in the United States. So it's not as impossible as people, of course, think it is. Uh, but the main thing I'll touch base on in here is whatever you have an idea of doing something or just achieving something, you'll find a lot of people who try to drag you down. So if you listen to these people, you might just stay where you are, or you can at least try your best. Eventually, as hard as you try and you go along with it, everything around you will help you through this path, and it's something I'll also touch base on during this presentation. Um so after I've decided wanted to come here, I started looking for how to come to the United States, uh, at least for elective rotation and research and all the stuff that I need to help me get into residency. So at that point, like few medical students from my school got into United States, mostly for internal medicine. I don't know if anyone was interested in surgery at that point, but we didn't know much about the United States. Now people know more because much more people have gone. But at that time, it was like this black thing that not much people know about. So I started searching about it, and they always tell you that you have to get some United States experience, but I don't know anyone in the United States, not in surgical specialty at least. Uh, so I started sending everywhere. I started from my third year, sending everywhere at least to get some research experience because I didn't have any clinical experience in my school yet, so I didn't get anything. And after my fourth year, which is my first year of clinical experience, I also sent everywhere in the United States for neurosurgery rotation. I got denied pretty much from everywhere because first I'm international, and I didn't do my step one or step two or any of the steps. I mean I didn't know actually that it's very important at that point to do your steps to get elective rotation. It was until later I found out. And the other thing, of course, I mean I need a visa. So it was like a difficult combination. So I could not get anything until my cousin, he helped me get a neurology rotation first at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. So I was very excited to go there. And I applied for a neurosurgery rotation in McGill University in Canada, which is also a great school, but this is not going to help me coming to the United States. But I was also excited, at least I would know what neurosurgery is. So I applied there, and I went to, of course, I will touch base afterward about getting the visa to United States and all these difficulties. But one important thing in here that happened to me is I applied to visa to Canada and I was rejected. And I thought it's a bad thing at that point, but that was one of the most important thing that happened to me through all my career. Uh, so I went to, of course, I mean, I could not go to Canada at that point, so I went to UAB. I was supposed to come back, but I was at UAB, and I was thinking, I mean, I'm already here. I already have a visa, and I can't ask him to get a neurosurgery rotation. So I did my neurology rotation, and then I asked them. They said, "Oh, we don't have neurosurgery for foreign grads, but you can get pediatric neurosurgery, which is, I mean, it's a very similar thing. They have very strong pediatric neurosurgery program at UAB. So I took that in, and it's uh, it's unique because at that point there was three residents in neurosurgery who were doing rotation in pediatric neurosurgery, and these people have literally changed my entire career. They helped me afterward. Well, they were the first one to expose me to research. They helped me afterward continue my research in the United States, and also tremendously helped me get into residency in the United States. I would say very close friends. Um, Anyway, so afterward, I got some research experience, and I will touch base on it on the research section. So when I was in there, I got some research, I got some publications, and the next year, the following year, after my fifth year of medical school, I also applied everywhere. And at that time, like I had some research experience already. I've been in the United States, but it's still the same problem. International, I don't have anything else. I need a visa still, so that was a difficult time to apply. And I got rejection from almost everywhere. Same thing. One of the schools I really loved and I wanted to apply to was Hopkins. And Hopkins, as you can see on their website, they don't take internationals for rotations, but they make exceptions. So I applied to Hopkins and I didn't hear back from them, of course. But the other places I get denied, and I also applied to Canada this time, and the same thing happened. Like I could not. I even my application to the school at that point was denied. So I didn't have anything until February. And the people I worked with before, the ones I told you about, they actually also sent some letters to Hopkins. And the great news came in February, where I actually have a spot as also elective rotation in Hopkins. So that was a great moment. So I went there. That year they took two foreign grads for rotations. By the way, it was one was my spot, and the other one was for a current resident at Hopkins. Yeah, she actually came back, did 4 years of research with them, and then she became a resident. She's a foreign grad, and yeah, her husband is also foreign grad, by the way, and he's a resident, neurosurgery resident, also in one of the best places in the country. It's called Barrow Neurosurgical Institute. So these people achieved even just a greater thing. They spend more time in the United States, 4 to 6 years, and then they also like it just is a very high spot. Anyways, so I did my rotation in there, and then I got spot also at UAB. Went back, did neurosurgery rotation, and also did pediatric neurosurgery rotation at that point. So it was a total of almost five elective rotations in the United States, including four neurosurgery and one neurology. Okay, so that concludes my elective rotation. Last rotation, I did all the rotations between 2011 and 2012. Uh, Okay, so research during medical school. So as I said, like first time coming to United States, I went to UAB and I I got to know these people, three main people in there at UAB. Now they're all attendings in different places, and they introduced me to research. So I always expressed that I really want to do research, and they gave me my first projects will include analysis of 500 cases uh, of KRI malformation. So I did that, and then that was my first author paper, and I was very excited. Of course, I mean, I didn't to have a publication at that point. I didn't know how to get the references. I used to go to the library, get the journals, read the article, and then I didn't know how to cite it. So it took so much time and effort until I learned how to do all this stuff, know how to write, because at that point, I mean, we were not taught how to do it in medical school, and I believe many other medical school have the same thing. Now it's much better actually. Um so I went back home and this I also started working with them when I was back home. So they were in the United States and I was back home and then I continued to do publications. Most of the publication were literature review, by the way. meta-analysis, some case reports, some case series. So I continue working on that, and also most of them, almost all of them actually, were published in journals in the United States. So that was a very good thing at that point, and it helped me a lot afterward, and something else to touch base on. Uh, so one other thing I really want to talk about is that many people say, oh, it's time during medical school, we barely have to study, and it's either have to focus on the study and get high grades, or focus on other stuff like research or whatever it is. But it's actually not true. You always have time to do whatever you want in medical school. So even socialize, just have to do extracurricular activities. I've always maintained my scholarship of excellence in medical school, which is given for when you excel academically in your medical school. And I continue doing my research. I graduated with 15 publications. And also at the same time, I was the president of the International Federation of Medical Student Association, which is the IFMSA in my school, and continue to do extracurricular activities. So there's always time for everything you want, and you can hang out with your friends. Uh, but if you just organize and arrange your time in a proper way. So yeah, so I continued to do research, and I finished. Even in the exams, final exams, you always have to continue to do that, because at one point you cannot keep telling them, "Oh, I'm busy, I cannot do this," and quitting on anything you're doing is also never a good idea. Um, so graduated medical school, and yeah, I had several publications at that point, which is definitely would definitely help me going forward. Then, well, the most painful thing anyone would think about is USMLE. So I graduated medical school, and then we have 1 year of internship, which is it's called MTS, which is like a year you have to do to get the license. So I said I would start studying for the USMLE at this year. So I started studying for step two CK, because I just finishing medical school the last 3 years, clinical years, and then I thought it's much easier, to go back and do step two CK instead of going much back and do step one subjects. So I started studying for step two CK. It was just very painful thing studying for that, and it took me much time. It took me like almost 8 months or 7 months studying for step two CK. And everyone at that point kept telling me like I have to get more than 260 to get into neurosurgery in the United States, which is not completely accurate. Like just many you can above 250 is pretty much good. And I know people who got more than 200, like within 240s, and also got into neurosurgery, foreign grads. For American grads, of course, you can get. I mean, the higher the better, but like even people with 20 got into neurosurgery. So we have different average for foreign grads. So I studied for step two CK. Studied pretty hard actually for it, and yeah, I did it in September 2014, and I got 262, which is, I mean, I was very happy at that point. Now there's much higher score, actually higher scores in my school. People, mashallah, and it's going great. People know how to study, know much more about the United States, and they're doing great. Uh, and then I decided to come to United States before do my step one. So I came in the United States to start doing postdoc research afterward, before coming to United States. Uh, okay, so I did my step one. So I was doing my first year of research in the United States, and then I took 3 months off because I could not actually study during that time. So I took 3 months off. I studied for step one. Started also pretty hard for step one, and I did it in that was September 2015, and I got 268 in step one, which definitely helped me also through my application. And then I did my CS and became ACFMG certified. Uh, yeah, so that's pretty much for the USMLE exams. Okay, now coming to the United States. So as I said, like after doing my step two CK, finishing my 1 year of internship back home, I decided to want to come to the United States. So one of the people I work with as on research when I was in medical school, he became an attending in a place in Los Angeles. So I contacted him. We always stay in contact, and I came there on a B1 B2 visa uh, to do postdoc research. But one of the things like I kept in mind is how hard it is to get a visa to the United States, especially when we live in West Bank. West Bank, we don't have an embassy for the United States. The embassy is in Tel Aviv, but there's a consulate in Jerusalem, which as Palestinians, it's very hard for us to get in, and we need a permit. And my permit have always been denied. And one time or two times, I was detained for like 2 hours on the checkpoints, and then they sent me back to my city. So I started going to Jordan. I traveled to Jordan to get the visa to United States, which was a big hassle that I tried to get around. So when I came to the United States, I was very like I decided I want to get over that and get a green card. But it's not an easy process, of course. I mean, you can either marry someone or there's different other path for it. Uh, so the place I came to work with, they offered to sponsor me for a work visa or like green card through work. It's an expedited process that's usually take 1 year. It's called a perm. But then I was talking to lawyers, and accidentally I met a lawyer that told me based on the publication and research I did in medical school and afterward that I can get a green card in the United States through something called a national interest category. So, so basically, if they see your application in the interest of the United States, uh, they could get you a green card. So it was a long process to apply, but it's a very quick it's a quick way to get the green card. So I started gathering, of course, my publication, getting letters of recommendation from people I knew in the United States, and then we submitted the application. 3 months afterward, I got the approval for the green card. That was probably the second happiest moment from my life until now, after getting, of course, I mean, after the match. And 3 months after that, I get the physical green card. Now it takes almost same time, like a little bit longer, but it's very quick process to get the green card, and that definitely helped me a lot. So basically, for this, actually, you need if you work more on your publication and your CV and have a good lawyer, it just you basically can get it. Um and then I started doing, of course, my postdoc research. So my first year in the United States, it was basically trying to establish myself in here. So I work on my green card. I tried to do some research, some observation. Had some ideas, like try to establish some startups in the United States, at least some medical things with ideas I had back home, and I work on it and still work on some of these things. Uh, but that was a way to establish myself in here. So that was the first year, and then I realized I had to do my step one, and I couldn't study much during the research year. So I took 3 months off. I did and I did my step one, and then after I finished my step one, I got a position in Boston for also postdoc research, which pretty much that was the best thing I've done and the most thing that helped me get residency in the United States. If you do research in a good place with good people, that help you a lot to get connections, which is by far the most important thing in the United States for residency. Uh, so yeah, basically find a place where people at least are known, and they have good connections and they're good mentors. They'll be willing to go along and help you get whatever you want. Because sometimes you spend much time in a place. First of all, you don't get published, and at the same time, people in there they will not be willing to help, which is a big problem. So definitely you have to recognize this and at least try to change it early on. So finding a place you get publications and also know good people and good mentors that can help you along the way. So that was basically one of the most important research period I've done. It was from January 2016 until September. Well, I still do it. Actually, I'm still working on it now, but it's just until September when I applied. That was the most important period for research. Um, the pre-residency fellowship. So after I submitted my application, I also needed to get some clinical experience in the United States beside my electives, which were like in 2012. So to get some more recent experience. So pre-residency fellowship, this exists in some places in the United States where they don't have enough residents. And you technically work as a resident, but it's not like ACGME accredited. So you end up working more, but you get more experience. So you go to the OR, cover the floor, you take consults at night, you go, just any consultation that comes in, you pretty much be on call, and so it's very good clinical experience. I would advise everyone, like, one of the mistakes maybe I did is I would advise for pre-residency fellowship. If you want to prove yourself, you can go to a place where they also have residency program, and like some places in the United States, they have residency program and pre-residency fellowship to do that, and this would definitely help much more because you also can get into that residency program. So focus on that point. So you can look it up. I think it only exists for neurosurgery. I've never heard about pre-residency fellowship in other specialties because neurosurgery is one of the specialties that have the lowest number of residents. Or a lot of places, it's very hard to get accreditation in the United States to start a residency program. So that also helped get. It was something to talk about during the interviews that I have clinical experience still in the United States beside the research. And research, I would say something else. Actually, research is very important here because many programs for neurosurgery, at least, they're already academic places and they want to continue to be academic places. For other programs, they are not academic yet and they want to be academic places. So they look for people with some research background. Most of the research I did was clinical research, work on some basic research actually, but we didn't get published for that basic research. So most of the stuff you publish about was clinical research, and it can have very high impact also on the uh, very high impact on the practice that you do on that specialty, and also gives you the chance to go present everywhere. So you get the chance to present national and international meetings, and get more people to know you. So you establish more connection. So the at least for me the best way to establish connection was mainly through research. So yeah, as I was saying, connections in here are very important in the United States, at least because especially with competitive specialties, because there's a lot of Americans applying for it, and a lot of foreign also applying for it, and so there should be a way for them to distinguish where people, just who they don't know, if they know you're a good guy or just at least have a good CV. That's a very important thing. But for foreign grads, they usually filter out most of the applications from foreign graduates. Many programs do that. And so at least they need to know you to pick your application and take a look at it. So even if you have a great application, your application has to go through many stuff. First, if you're a foreign grad, many programs are just filter this out. If your scores are low, there are also many programs that just filter this out. So you have to pass the filter, and at the same time, just be the program has to know you in many situations, not all the time. So it always helps to have some connection in the United States and people willing to help you. Willing to help you being mean by not only making phone calls, even sending emails, write you good letters of recommendation. All this way just definitely can help. Uh, okay, and then the next step was for me is just a residency application. So I went through all this process. I established at least I had a decently good CV through mainly research, some clinical experience in here, and also the background and the USMLE scores. Uh, Besides some connections in the United States, I didn't spend too much time in the United States, just at least compared to other people who stay in here, do research for a longer period of time. So I had to act fast at least just to know more people, and I would say. Uh, First, the people you work with, that's a very important thing, and also go to conferences, just as much as you can, just go to conferences, try to present, and get more that would get more people to know you. So I started working on my residency application, started working on my personal statement, which was very crappy at the beginning, and then a close friend of mine, helped me a lot actually, just make it at least decent personal statement. On my letters of recommendation, tried to start contacting people I work with and people who know me just to write the letters of recommendation. And then I would say those two are the things that have to be prepared. And then the research, of course, you worked on, that definitely matters. The scores, the USMLE scores. So to have a decent application to get in with, because when you apply for competitive specialties, uh, you don't only have to compete with the American graduates to be at the same level, but you do have to be slightly higher, so they would consider you for the residency spot. Because usually in here they try to reallocate their students. So if you're at the same level or a little bit lower, it's not gonna help. So I submitted my application uh, just exactly one day before the deadline, of course. And then after that, one of the most stressful times is waiting for interviews. And also at this time, it's very important to just to contact people. I think, uh, at least I would not say, just ask people to give you interviews, but, try, expand, I would say, your network during this time. Try to get to know more people. It definitely helps to get more interviews. And I think that's very important time. I remember like in September after submitting it took a while until I got my first invitation, and then most invitation came I would say in October, and yeah, pretty much October, and still you would get interviews even through the January sometimes. I got my last invitation in January, and for an interview that was late January. So you pretty much most of the yeah that was most of the interviews, most of the interview invitation. Most of the interviews fall in December. At least I don't know for neurosurgery somehow it falls in December, before the Christmas. And like I would say, yeah, November and December. Still some programs interview until January and February, but it's mostly just before the turn of the year. For myself, honestly, I got 16 invitation. I went to 12 interviews. Uh, I had to choose 12 interviews because of the also the overlap. The overlap is also a problem as I said. Mainly because it's most of the interviews fall in like December, November area. Many people, of course, I mean, you will run into with your interviews of with people who got like 50 invitations. Of course, I mean American graduates, and they went to like 25 interviews or so. But technically, the safe number they say always is 12 and more, and I believe like it might be 10 or more. I know people exactly. I mean, went to like 7 a match or 5 a match in neurosurgery, so it matters actually. It doesn't matter like what the number. What matters is how did the interview go. So it just just need one good interview to match. So don't get depressed if you don't get too much interviews or you get only few number of interviews. So that's totally fine. Like you just literally need one good interview to match. I don't know people. I'm in different specialties, but like match with only one interview. So it's yeah it's not the most important thing. The most important thing how do you do in the interview, and the interview itself is a 2 days interview. It's you have a dinner in the first day, and second day is the interview itself. Sometimes different. Sometimes you have the interview and second day is the dinner, or the dinner is after the interview. So every program is different. But usually the day before the interview is dinner where you meet the residents, talk about the program, discuss any questions you have. Interview days usually it varies. It can be one program actually. It was only me interviewing that day because they give you flexibility to choose whatever day you want to come in. And some days it will be some programs it will be like 20 people on the same day. And also the number of people who are interviewed generally it also varies. Some program interview 80 people for one spot. Some programs interview 20 people for three spots. So it differs. That's for the interview. So mainly you have to stay pleasant. They usually ask you about anything in your CV. For foreign grads, for myself as a Palestinian, literally every interview that I went to, the first question was about Palestine. People ask you, you're from Palestine? Well, that's interesting. Tell me more about it. Yeah, so you have to discuss that all along the way. And then how did you come in here to United States? Why do you want to be in the United States? And then you start talking about your research. Um, Okay, so that was the interview, and then after that, I will say, you finish the interviews, you put the rank list, and the rank list is usually opens in January 15, and then is due to in February 22nd. So you submit your rank list, and then you wait. You wait, which is very, very stressful time until March 13th, where you get the big news. That was probably the most stressful email in my life to open, as I believe everyone else. And then where did you match a few days afterward in March 17th, at least this year. So as a conclusion, first of all, you have to believe in yourself. I think that's the most important thing. You have to be more resilient. You always have to keep going forward. You'll find a lot of people since having the first idea that you want to come here or do anything in your life, not only surgical specialty or anything in the United States, you always have to keep going on because you find a lot of people try to drag you down. And I think it's very important to try to overcome that. Sometimes it's very hard to overcome this, but definitely have to work on this part. The other thing is try to build a good CV. It's never too early to work in research. Literally, never too early. You have to start, I think, working in research since the first day in medical school. It's a very important thing. It helped me get my green card. It helped me get my residency. It helped me establish connections in the United States. It's a very important thing to think about. And then your step scores. It's uh, it's also never too early to start studying for your steps. Now I always advise people to start studying in the medical school because it helps you get more elective rotations in the United States and helps you in the future. You don't have to spend extra time just finishing your steps. Uh, the other thing, elective rotations, when you have your steps, it makes it easier. And now also like always try to send everywhere. Literally, like there's always a door that will open. It's never like a dead end. You just try, keep sending. If people see you more persistent, you will definitely get something out of it. Uh, and I said work hard. Also, like hard working is very important. Here, people. As I said, you come here, you compete with a lot of people, who everyone wants to achieve the same goal. And I think as it's very important to work as hard as you can, just at least to show these people that you're definitely hardworking and reliable. That's also important. So I believe this is one of some of the most important components to come here. I would not say I'm an expert. Definitely not. Of course, I'm an expert in neurosurgery residency in the United States. Definitely not. I mean, I went through this path. I tried to explore for myself. It just it's not easy, but it's definitely not impossible. Not even close to being possible. And it's definitely the hardest specialty to get in for foreign grads, but it's definitely possible. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much actually conclude my experience in here. Coming from Palestine, going through all that, and coming here. I'll always also advise you to think outside the box. It just, it's a growing field, not only neurosurgery, medicine generally, and we are in digital age. I think there's a lot of stuff to improve in here. The instruments that we use, any utilities that we use, softwares, everything. There is a lot of stuff you can improve, and this definitely helps you throughout the way. So think about that, and good luck. Thank you.